All right, here we are. My name is Josh Galt. I'm here with Nancy Lamka-Smith, inspirational composer, classical pianist, and my mom. And we're going to find out a little bit about how this journey started and see where we go from there. So, Mom, thanks for agreeing to do this. I'm really excited. I think people are going to be touched by your music and also interested in the stories that you have to tell. But start by telling us how you got into piano, when you started, and sort of the journey over the course of your lifetime with piano.
I started playing piano, I think kind of by accident. I had some kind of a childhood disease um, that was either polio or similar to polio, and um, and so the doctor said I either needed to start typing or um, piano. And when I was 2.5, we were out at a friend's of my mom's house, and everybody was in the dining room, and I saw the piano. And so, being curious, I went up to the piano and started on middle C and went bum 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 bum, and then I played Silent Night, just the melody, so you can tell what time of year it was. And that was the beginning of
Wow.
my piano career. I started lessons. I had my first recital when I was 3 at Reed College in Portland. Um, and then I was put into competition. Not a good thing for somebody so young. And I was competing at 4 or 5 with 12-year-olds and winning. And that wasn't real popular, and a lot of pressure on a child. Um, so anyway, that's how I got started with Silent Night.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, that's carried over into your original compositions and Christmas carols as well. That's always touched me is just the way that you are able to blend and make those medleys of Christmas carols. But the competition thing is interesting because obviously you as our mom, you saw me and my brother like go grow up playing sports and being uber competitive. Um, how did that affect you? You because I know there's more to the story. Like you started competing when you were like a little kid, like 4 or 5, competing with 12-year-olds, you said. But then
Yes.
what happened as you got older? What happened? You kept playing and kept competing, or you kind of stopped playing? What happened?
Um, for me, I'm a lead feeler. It was not a good thing. And uh, my teacher liked the awards that she won and that I won. And I began to hate the piano.
Hmm.
And it carried over in my life where I had won a couple of sales awards, and so my distributor decided to com- uh, have a competition with another dealer that I liked very much, um, another salesperson, and because I'd won this national award in recruiting, she decided, okay, well, we'll just put the two of you together and see what kind of, what we can do. And it was kind of like the same thing, only worse. And so what happened was I did not compete at all. I would not compete against her. Um, I just quit. And I don't know how you can analyze that. I'm as long as I can just kind of go at my own speed. If I'm excited about something, you're really going to know it. But if I have to compete with I mean, life is competition. It's not that, it's being pitted against somebody.
Mhm.
And So even as a teacher and as a piano teacher, I did not put my students in competition until one year. I decided we were going to do something, and we had four students and two grand pianos. And the mothers started making comments about me because I became a different person, as far as we were going to do a good job.
You're gonna
And
win.
and I thought, you're doing this to win. You're doing this to do your very best. And there were some wonderful things that came out of it, but I decided that was something I did not want to do to them again, and I did not want to do it to myself. So I don't
But
know if,
you, when you were younger, you started competing, and did you keep playing and keep competing, or what happened with that? Like,
yes, I won. I won trophies. I gave them away a couple years ago, plaques and all kinds of stuff, regional awards. But it just it didn't mean anything to me. I remember the last competition that I won, I burst into tears.
how old were you?
I was in my teens.
Okay.
It just was too much pressure on me. And mom went, "Why are you crying? You won. You got a superior rating." And it was like, I, so I quit. I quit for a while. I
For how
had,
long?
um, well, I took music in college because I figured piano would be pretty easy for me. I could get an A. This is horrible. Um, but that I think I only did that for a couple of years, and then I stopped and I ran. I just decided I never wanted to play the piano again. But you know what? The Lord had put a song in my heart. I mean, I had this some kind of a symphony going through my head when I was 8. I could hear the melodies and all the instruments. I knew nothing about that. And so God had a plan. He had a plan. And how I got back into music was that I had a pastor at a pretty good sized church that needed somebody to play. And um, your dad actually volunteered me. I said no, and he said yes. Of course, girl. And so for 2 or 3 weeks, I practiced 6 hours a day and cried, just sobbed because it had been so long. And they didn't have music that you just had to be able to play by ear. And my teacher didn't like me playing by ear. Sometimes I would be playing some sonatina by like Mozart or some composer, and I turn the page and I just keep crying. She goes, "That's very nice, but now will you play what's there?" and,
So
and
you were playing Mozart, and then you were just making up your own connection with it, integrating your own song to it?
yes, I mean, I don't know if it was Mozart or I don't remember who it was. Mozart was one of them. I loved Beethoven. He really influenced my life. I love Rachmaninoff. Um, anyway, that's a whole different situation. I feel like I'm all over the board here. Um,
No, no, it's really interesting. So you went back to practice for church, and you were that was actually a blessing that you were able to play by ear because they didn't have music, so you were able to figure it
and
all out.
for once, I wasn't being criticized. I didn't feel like I was under a microscope. But what I did is I prayed that no one will be able to hear me because I I didn't it had been too many years since I had played. And so the grand piano was in front of the organ. Number one, I couldn't hear. And number two, I just played octaves. And that was a pretty terrifying experience. And the pastor's wife said to me afterwards, "Well, you're lucky that's all that happened after you've been so rebellious so many years." And I thought, oh God. Anyway, you know what? Those kind of things are good for us because they mold us and they shape us into what God wants us to be. And I think it was 1979, um, when there was an urgent need for a friend, and I decided to fast. And the Lord started giving me music, and then He gave me a musical. And anyway, that's when that started. Um, and that was a life changer. It was, oh, I have to tell you something. Right before that happened, I went to this Bible study that was interdenominational. We had all over the board people from all different flavors of churches, and they prayed. Sorry. They prayed that the Lord would give me the love that I had when I was 2.5 for piano. And you know what? He did. And um that was a life changer also. And then um well, about 2005, I had a friend at church that wanted to uh have me make a CD for her, because she loved the music that I was playing at church, and I was playing some of my own stuff. And so I did. And we decided, well, why don't we make a real CD? No, that was 2004. And she said, you've got to make another CD. I wore this one out. So we decided, okay, we're going to make several CDs. By that time, I'd written a music curriculum, because when the Lord gives, He just begins to pour out. And I had uh, hundreds and hundreds of songs. And so that's where Steps to Joy music came from. And had the pleasure of teaching a lot of students, which was a lot of fun. And then this with the CDs, so we made several CDs. I was playing at the Portland airport, and it was such a surprise. When I walked out on Concourse C, there was a 12-foot Steinway grand piano, and I just kind of played a little bit, and the keys were like butter. It was so gorgeous. And I said, "You're my friend, let's go." But as I walked out there to the piano, I have to go back there. Um, I saw a blue graduation cap, and a tassel went like that. And I wasn't afraid. I was always terrified because of the competition thing. But
To
that
play
was
in public, you mean?
graduation. Pardon me?
To play in public, like to
Yes.
play in front of people. Okay.
Yes. I mean, as long as I had played, I was terrified. My hands would be shaking, and it was like, it was just, it wasn't fun. But after that, and people would come up, and sometimes I had tears, especially at Christmas, because I got to do my own arrangements on traditional Christmas carols. But people were being touched. And to have, and Sunday song, to have people touched with my own music and stuff that the Lord had given me. What a joy! What a joy to just have uh, an appreciation for this wonderful blessing that the Lord had given me, um, to be able to touch and relax those that were sitting in a pretty stressful place then. And I'm sure it's even more so now. So,
So how, I wanted to ask about that, the response to, because I've seen that now in airports all over the world, but when you started playing at the Portland airport, there was actually a really innovative program. I'm not sure if
yes,
it started at PDX, but PDX was for sure one of the first airports in the world that started doing live music
yes,
like that. And
yes.
you
And I
were part of
was,
that initial program. So
yes.
how were you received playing your own music and having this new thing of like a live piano music in the airport?
Oh, I have so many comments. I had a comment sheet out there, and I mean, it was so rewarding because to see what it was doing for people. People would come in there all stressed out. Um, I got searched one time. It took me an hour and a half of plane to calm down. So I understood. Um, but they would come out, not everybody's traveling at the airport. There were some people that had had family that had passed away. Was a lady, there were people there, all different reasons. And some of them weren't happy. And so um, when people came up to the table to talk to me, um, it was such a pleasure, such a pleasure to just be able to visit with them. And um, one man, I had started practicing Exodus just because I love that song, and I used to play it in college, in the dorm, and um, he asked me to play it, and I thought, boy, that's a God thing. I just started practicing this, and so I did, and in that kind of velodrome thing with a huge grand piano and to have exit. Oh, it was beautiful. But um, there was one night that these two, one of them was probably 8 to 10, and the other one was uh maybe 12 or 13. And I was just playing, and they began to dance. I mean, like do ballet, or I don't, it wasn't really
Oh,
ballet, but they just were so free and so open. And it was so beautiful. And I would have people come up with instruments. I mean, I've seen that on TikTok now. But I had that happen a lot.
yeah, but
People
you
would,
had it happen for real. The stuff you see on TikTok is all staged. That's
well,
why
no,
there's so many
people,
camera angles. But you actually had it happen for real, where people would want to play
oh,
it.
it was, I thought, why didn't we record some of that? And there was a little girl that wanted to sing a song. And so I played it, and the song was Jesus Loves Me. Hmm.
Yeah, in Portland Airport,
She,
I'm sure that went over well.
no, well, there were about 50 people there, and one of them complained. But it's okay. They kept me on. She stood up on a chair. Her mom asked me, and just a sweet. No, I had it for real. I mean, I think about those experiences, and one. This is not so much about music, but I had this man come up, and he told me his name, and the Lord gave me a word for him, and uh, he said, and it was nothing I could know. He said, "We have to talk." And I said, "Well, I'd like to pray for you." And this was like 2004. This is a long time. Oh, that's 20 years ago. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I said, "Well, so who are we going to pray to?" And I named some names, and he pointed his finger. This is like out of the Bible. And he goes, "You pray to the God you know." And I went, "Okay." But there were wonderful. It wasn't all experience. I mean, everything, it was always different every time I played. And sometimes people would come up and say, you know, "You're talking to us, even though no one's saying anything. You're talking to us. That music is talking to us."
Mm.
And so the piano was kind of like a pulpit to me. And it was the vehicle for the Lord that he could touch their hearts. And that was very special.
Well, what's
Anyway,
one of
that's a
the
long answer.
no, that's amazing. That's why I wasn't saying anything. It just to let you explain like kind of what you lived. But tell me one of the craziest experiences that you had in the sense of like someone very unexpected that was touched by your music.
Well, I don't know. This guy came up, and I mean, people would say things like, you have golden fingers and your music's going to be known all over the world. And it was kind of like, oh my goodness, this isn't about me. You know what? It's about what God has poured into me. And I really feel every every person on this earth, whether it's singing or writing or music, has some kind of creative gift, just because we're all we're all part of his creation. And so, oh, there, who did I meet? There were celebrities that,
But you told me one story about a kid that was like a punk rocker or something that,
oh,
yeah.
that's, I was gonna ask him, sorry. Getting excited. That probably was one of my favorite stories, just because he was in his garb. And I love young people. And he came up to the piano and he said, "What is that song you just played?" Well, I'd played like three or four. And he told me, I said, Are you a musician?" And he told me he's a punk rocker. But he said that song really touched my heart. And I tried to think which one it was. Um, and then I played a little bit of it, and he goes, "That's it. What CD is it on?" And um, so I said, "It's called Petite Chantel in A minor, and it's on Corridor of Time." And I could appreciate him as a musician, and the fact that, oh, I have to tell you something else.
So
The fact that he would appreciate stuff that the Lord had given me. That's amazing to me. I had people of all different lifestyles that were touched by the music. But the thing that I had a car accident. I'd gotten hurt and I couldn't play for a while, and I had to quit teaching. And so when I first started at the airport, talk about a turnaround. These kids had come in the airport, and most of them were teenagers. And one of them, I remember this boy, he came in and he goes, "Whoa, what is this music? I've never heard anything like this." And when we did More Than Mob, and that was our first CD at the airport, the top purchasers of the music were teenagers
wow.
and young people. And I thought, this is so cool, because I had to give up teaching and I was not real happy about it. I had a pretty stinky attitude. And yet God turned that around. So with the music, it was touching young people.
Hmm.
And that was such a blessing. Oh, that was awesome.
That's really cool. So
Yeah,
one
it
one
was.
more one more question to sort of tie it up for today.
Okay.
Through this whole journey, I mean, you've played for a very long time, like
200 years. No, be
but
nice.
really, I mean, you've played for more than 75 years, right? Like if you go all the way back to when you were 2.5. So, and age is just a number, right? Like you're
That's what you've
forever
always told me.
forever young at heart,
Telling
which is
everybody
awesome. But
else.
I guess the question is, and this is probably the most important piece of getting the music back out there, is why now? Why do you feel like now is it's really important that you get your music out and you want to share it with the world, and it's a good time to do that?
Because of the way our world is. I think years ago, the Lord told me that the music would be really used um, during a very tumultuous time. And I see people everywhere that are angry and fearful. And I mean, it's kind of like on a bad day at the airport, not a bad day for me, but a bad day for people. And people are so troubled. And with the feedback that I've had on the music, on how it has touched people's hearts and helped them to relax and help them to find peace. I mean, I had a spiritualist that came up to me and he pointed his finger at me at the airport. And he goes, "You can feel God in that music." And I thought, wow, that's
I
that's
agree.
really something. No, I want to be able to share so that people can find, I don't know if solace is a good word, but people that will feel the peace of God in their hearts. It's about him. And know that they're valuable and know that he cares and loves them, all of us. And that with him we can have a better life. I think that's the bottom line.
And so just with everything that's going on in the world, I think that's actually a really good analogy of, because everyone's been at the airport when, it's maybe it's before Thanksgiving or whatever, there's a weather issue and it delays all the flights and there's flight cancellations and everyone's freaking out. And
Mhm.
that's a great analogy for the world today. I mean, it's just absolute chaos and everyone's angry about something and everyone is just stressed out to the max.
Well,
And that's, yeah. So to
you go
give
to
something peaceful.
drive. You go to drive and people are so angry on the road. It's like, oh my goodness. It's like, oh, I wanted to share with you though. I shared a CD that we did in Belize, and this girl is young, and I wanted to know what she thought of it, and she wrote a thing out. Well, you can share that if you want to.
Yeah,
She
read it. Read what she said.
Oh, I don't have it
Oh, you
here.
don't have it. Okay. Well, we
Yeah.
can put up a screenshot or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, it so touched her heart, and she's playing this kind of, I said, "Well, it's kind of like the music that you're playing. It's in an established place." And she said, "Oh no. Oh no, it's nothing like this. Yours yours are so beautiful. I mean, yours, you can tell they're composed and they're like masterpieces." And I thought, "Oh my goodness." They're just little songs, but
But you feel the emotion, you feel the genuine connection and peace of God in those for sure.
that's true.
Everyone does, no matter what their beliefs. Yeah.
I want to make sure to keep that genuine connect. Oh, hi there. The light's coming in through the ceiling. Well, if no, it's a skylight. It's not a ceiling. Oh my goodness. I have to tell you one more thing. When I was teaching first grade, just for a little while, um, in the morning, we used to sing and worship. And through the window, like that, almost every morning was Oregon, when it wasn't rain, or sometimes even when it wasn't, gonna do it. Cool. Anyway, the sun would come through the window, and I would tell the kids, "The Lord's smiling at us. He's giving us a smile right now." That's awesome. He's awesome.
Well, I think your music and your love for life and your energy, Mom, puts a smile on everybody's face too. So
I
keep
brought a
being
dog.
you. No, no, for sure. Keep being you. Keep being just the way that you are. And I'm really looking forward to helping and to seeing you share your music and get this out there so that more people can be touched and impacted. Because for me, especially, I mean, growing up hearing you practicing all the time, it your music has made a massive impact in my life and in the way that I see the world the way that I feel the world, the way that I feel art, the way that I feel music. So much of that is because of having the foundation of the music that you have written and played and shared. And so I'm excited that you're going to be telling your stories. You have so many stories from living up in the boonies in Canada and from the mission field and all over the world and playing music. And so I'm looking forward to hearing much more. We'll do this every week. And so people, if you're watching this, stay tuned because we'll have new stories and new music that will intersperse in with this. And we'll be sharing more of Nancy Lamka-Smith and her music going forward. Anything else you want to close with today, Mom?
I'm just so grateful to the Lord. The one thing that I can thank him for is no matter what, he's always been faithful to me. And it doesn't mean it's been easy, as you know. He's always been faithful, and he will continue to be. And he wants to be that for all of us.